modern constructs and examples of institutions which are doing well. For instance, our education today in the world is institutionalized. Businesses are institutionalized. Governments are institutionalized. So when Prabhupada saw that there is a certain power of institutions and he wanted to enshrine Krishna's mission in an institutional framework.
Chanchalapathi ji, could you sort of, drawing from the transformative leadership vignettes that have been presented in the book, it's been roughly 50 years since the passing away of Prabhupada ji, and unlike other organizations, ISKCON has held its own and shows as an organizational, in an organizational dynamic, there has been a greater resilience to the ISKCON movement as opposed to other social, spiritual or spiritual religious movements. So how do you account for the transformative leadership skills and verticals that Prabhupada ji left within the organizations that account for this resilience of the ISKCON movement here in India and globally as well?
Yeah, earlier in your question you mentioned, of course, there is a certain amount of reluctance among people about institutionalized religion, right? And you alluded to that too. Now, Srila Prabhupada saw there is immense advantage of an institution and institution building. Yes, there have been abuses. Mainly those kind of objections come from the institutionalized religion of Christianity, where there have been abuses and things which didn't go well. Nevertheless, Srila Prabhupada saw there are very distinct merits of building an institution in a modern context. Because an institution, when it is well built with the right value system and right practices, right understanding, right processes, which is constantly improving and we use the word purifying the leaders, purifying their hearts, then it can be an institution which is not exploitative, but it is simply oriented to do greater good to the society. So Prabhupada saw that there is immense benefit in an institution. In fact, this principle of Prabhupada using institution to take his mission forward is actually enshrined in one of the principles of surrender, Sharanagati. In the Shastras, in the Vedic literatures, it is mentioned that Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. You accept something that is favorable in the service of the Lord. So Prabhupada saw modern constructs and examples of institutions which are doing well. For instance, our education today in the world is institutionalized. Businesses are institutionalized. Governments are institutionalized. So when Prabhupada saw that there is a certain power of institutions and he wanted to enshrine Krishna's mission in an institutional framework, and he saw that it has the merit, and in fact he did some very revolutionary things from religious institution building. For instance, in our country, religious institutions, generally there is a pontiff, there is a spiritual leader, and he appoints a successor and leaves. You see? That is all right. Prabhupada and his guru also foresaw that. It is all right when your institution is small, spanning in a small city or in a few cities. But if it is a global institution, it requires collective intelligence to run and face those complex situations that come about. And so Prabhupada envisioned formation of a governing body. which was actually very revolutionary. In fact, even now I talk to some of the religious leaders in our country here in India, and they are very surprised about it. Oh, you mean to say Prabhupada did not appoint a successor for himself? Instead, he created a body, a governing body, which will run the institution. In fact, that is what has actually led to the sustenance and expansion of ISKCON in India and around the world. So Prabhupada very expertly took these kind of institutional principles and made sure, and there's one famous statement of Srila Prabhupada, you leaders should ensure politics does not enter this institution. You should keep it pure. And you can keep it pure by having pure practices, and unfailingly you must be absorbed in those practices so that this impurity will not come into the institution. So these are all some of the things that Prabhupada had taught us, and that's how I think the Prabhupada's mission is continuing to expand and will continue to expand.